or myself, we're always sort of available. So my email is KRIS@KASAKANA.com. So Chris@KasaKana.com.
Great. All right. So I think we're recording now. So
Beautiful.
this will post, so people who couldn't be here tonight
Perfect.
or would like to watch it later. So I'll hand it over to you, Chris, and I'm going to go off video because my internet isn't great.
No
but I want to
problem.
thank you very much and welcome you to our community.
Thank you.
And I'll hand it over to you. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Kelly. So thanks everyone for attending today. Again, my name is Christopher McGregor. I'm the manager at Kasa Kana Peterborough. And today we're basically just going to be going on a general overview of cannabis products, and sort of what they are and what they will do to your endocannabinoid system. So again, we really only have half an hour on this, and half an hour really doesn't even scratch the surface of, in essence, what cannabis actually is. Again, we're very much trying to break the stigma of cannabis is bad. You shouldn't be taking anything that's cannabis related, i.e. CBD products or THC products. Again, we're recreational. We don't speak in medical terms here. So when we discuss certain ailments that people have, we sort of sidestep the conversation with different ways of explaining it. Pain, we normally equate that to relaxation or winding down at the end of the night. We get a lot of people that come in with fibromyalgia, arthritis, this and that. So again, we don't sell certain products on a medical term. We say this has potential to help you, but it's never a guarantee when you're taking cannabis products, because just like myself, my endocannabinoid system, which is basically just our CB1 and CB2 receptors, which are two little guys in our brain, that will actually release all the endorphins, release all the cannabinoids that are naturally found in our body. And they work with THC and CBD in conjunction with it. So they sort of work in tandem with each other. Normally what we try and do is we bring up the education portion, where a lot of our customers will come in and say, I just want extremely high THC. That's totally fine. We can sell you that product, but normally you're not going to get the correct effects off of something that's just extremely high. You're going to be looking for the terpene profiles. So terpenes are basically, you can think of them as notes. Like in a wine, you'll find a dryness, you'll find a savoriness, certain things like that. So terpenes themselves can have certain types of smells. They're flavonoids, basically flavors of it. And they actually unlock, again, those CB1 and CB2 receptors, which allow your body to sort of feel the effects of the THC and the CBD. So let's break it down a little bit further. We have basically three different kinds of cannabis plants in general. We have sativa, which is going to be your more energizing or uplifting, more for a daytime use. We have a hybrid, which could lean either way. So it could lean sativa, or it could lean to the other one, which is called indica, or couch, as we like to call it. So basically it will lock you in the couch, basically your end of the night sort of relaxation to have a nice little nightcap at that point. So normally we ask people, what are you into? Are you into a sativa, indica? People say, I don't really care. I just want something high THC. At Kasa Kana, we're not really into selling product that way. We want to educate people a little bit more as to what you're actually consuming or putting on your body or putting in your body. So we try and sort of ask a lot of open-ended questions to ensure that the customer is actually getting what they're coming to receive. Some people will say, I'm just looking for straight CBD. Unfortunately, with CBDs, they normally come with a little bit of THC. It's called the entourage effect. It's basically like the big brother pulling the little brother across the street. They always work, again, in tandem with each other, and they always work best with each other. But some people are very much afraid of taking THC because, again, they don't want to feel high or get stoned, quote unquote. But again, anything under about 5 milligrams of THC, the normal human body doesn't necessarily feel it. Or again, you're not going to feel extremely stoned. So again, with Kasa Kana, we want to really, really educate people and make sure that they understand exactly what they're consuming. So going back to the indica, sativa, and hybrid, you have two other cannabinoids, basically, which are your THC and your CBD. So both are psychoactive, but both work differently than the other one does. So THC is going to be the one that, quote unquote, gets you pretty stoned or gets you high. You're going to feel the effects, headiness, body high in the couch, or you'll feel very floaty, certain things like that. With CBD, CBD is cannabidiol. That's basically what it is. That's the sort of scientific name for it. And basically what that is it's a neuroblocker. It actually goes up into the brain, and it goes into the areas where the signals are firing very rapidly, and they're telling them to sort of calm down and relax. So again, with THC, you're going to feel sort of the highness of it, but with CBD, you do not get high. So with people that take CBD, they sometimes get very frustrated with it, because CBDs you're supposed to have in your system from 7 to 14 days minimum in order to sort of feel the full benefits of CBD in its entirety. So people end up giving up on it. After a couple days, they go, well, it's not doing what I feel like it's supposed to be doing. So again, that's why we try and break down that wall of explaining exactly what you need to be doing. And you have to make it sort of, as we like to call it here, a regimented diet. So if you're taking it at 8 o'clock in the morning every single day, you should be taking it at 8 o'clock in the morning every single day. It just works best that way. It works like a lot of medications do, where if you take it at the same time on an empty stomach or the same time on a full stomach, you should be getting the exact same effects. So again, just like we don't speak in medical terms, but again, that's basically the way that it works best. So with CBD products, they, again, will normally come with a little bit of THC just to help it get through your system. But anybody that's going to want to start taking CBDs, you have to give it that 1 to 2 week sort of buffer zone in order for you to start feeling the effects of it. So again, people get frustrated with it. So if any of you on the call are actually starting to take CBD or interested in taking CBD, again, you have to give it that sort of 7 to 14 day cycle in order to see if it's actually going to work for you. That being said, CBDs, I will say, will normally work with about 98% of the population. It's just going to be that, again, regimented diet where people are always doing it consistently every single day, and they're doing it the same way. Best way to take CBDs. Normally we offer a few different ways. So we have gummy formats. We have raw cannabis flower format, or buds or nugs, as some people like to call them. We like to call it flower here because that's exactly what it is. It is the flower of the cannabis plant. We also have a few other things that are made, i.e. a tincture. So it's basically like a viscous liquid that almost looks like water. You take it in an eyedropper and you put it sublingually underneath the tongue. You keep it there for 30 to 40 seconds, if not a minute, if you possibly can. And then you can go ahead and ingest it via the throat and the esophagus. So normally, again, people will just take their CBDs orally, but they won't have it sublingual or under their sublingual palate. And they're, again, not getting the full effects of it. So softest parts of the body are going to be our sublingual palate and rectally. For a lot of cancer patients now, they're actually taking suppositories chocked full of THC to get it into their bloodstream a lot quicker. So here we're not offering suppositories. We haven't gone that route yet. Nobody's actually asked for anything along those lines, because that's not the normal way of consuming cannabis, unless it is, and we don't judge here, right? We're not about that. So however people like to consume their cannabis, again, we just want people to understand how to take it, how you're consuming it, and sort of what the effects should be. Again, everybody's endocannabinoid system is a little bit different. So what Aaron might feel is different than what I might feel, but it should be along the same lines. Just might be at a different level of heaviness, i.e. so you're going to be really stoned or you're not going to be really stoned, kind of thing. So going back to that, the tinctures, we have edibles, we have gummy formats. Normally people will come in asking for brownies, cookies, all those types of things. The OCS doesn't really deal in baked goods at this point. It's more like confectionaries. So they're doing, i.e. the gumdrops, nothing that is going to be sort of produced for kids. So i.e. there is no gummy worms, there are no gummy bears, there's nothing that a child could mistaken for it being something that they would find at a corner store. Again, every single pack that we have in here, whether it's flower, whether it's cannabis or concentrate or tinctures or edibles, they are all in a child-proof jar. Some of them actually are adult-proof. So we have certain adults that say, I just can't get this darn thing open. And they end up coming back, and we sort of help them along with that. So from the older population, what we find as well is that opening up jars, i.e. you have to push the lid just like a pill bottle and then turn. With people's hands and their arthritis, they're not getting the full effect of it because they can't get the bottles open. So normally they'll come, we'll help them out in the beginning and say, just you close the jar, but don't close it all the way, as long as there are no children present. Normally those are going to be your long-term care facilities and retirement homes that are coming in to utilize those. So again, nobody under the age of 19 should even be technically looking at that. unless they have grandchildren that are coming in. But again, they keep it in a secure, locked away area. So again, we have tinctures, we have gummies, we have dry flower, we have pre-rolls. So people that want to come in that don't necessarily know how to roll a marijuana cigarette, they already come pre-rolled for you. So they can go ahead and just purchase a pre-rolled cannabis cigarette and take it along and go ahead and consume it wherever they need to consume it. Again, we always tell people, do not consume and drive. If you're walking around, that's fine. Because again, depending on the area that you're in, you can consume in public. Do not consume around schools or where children are, right? We don't want to put out that stigma. And to be honest, I don't want anybody having, let's say, a Kasa Kana branded bag around a schoolyard. We're not really into that. And we don't want any children to start using cannabis until technically they're legally allowed to. So again, going back to that, so we have the oral tinctures, we have the gummies, we have a lot of different products. We also have bath bombs, we have topicals. So certain people that are wanting a little bit more muscular relief, they're using bath bombs as well. They're finding that they're helping quite well. You're never actually going to get head high. Certain people have said I felt like jello after I came out of the bath, and it gave me a lot of relief to where I can actually have a decent night's sleep. Again, we don't say sleep, we just say relaxation at the end of the night. But most customers will sort of speak in that language, and we just sort of, again, sidestep that. So we do topicals. Those normally do quite well. People with, again, arthritis, fibromyalgia helps very well with the CBDs. But again, normally when people say this is my symptom, we always direct them back to their doctors just to make sure that the medications that they're on will not interact with any CBD products or THC products. Again, it's never a guarantee because everybody's endocannabinoid system is a little bit different. So we always say it in sort of a generality, but again, we really, really implore people to go to their own doctors and get the right general information. The one thing that we're running into, though, is that a lot of these doctors just don't have the information. So there's guys like me that I'm just such a bookworm when it comes to learning about cannabis that I really, really, really enjoy it. And I genuinely like learning about cannabis and cannabis products. So to my staff, I really try and educate them a lot. Again, using certain keywords that we're supposed to use in the recreational side and not the medical side. So we try and stick to things like that. Now, not to say any of you are a little bit older, but you're probably used to something called hash. We have a lot of hashes, so that's going to be in the concentrate side of things where people are like, that's all I really ever remember smoking back in the day in the 1970s, 1980s. I just used to smoke a lot of hash. So we do offer that as well. We also offer different concentrates, i.e. something called shatter, something called diamonds, something called resin, and something called rosin. And basically the only difference in how they, or the names of them, is how they're extracted. So rosins are made by, you flash freeze the plant. So I'm going to cut the plant down right now. I'm going to flash freeze it, and then I'm going to press it. So either in a hot press or a cold press. And the botanicals and the oils and the resins that are actually coming out of that plant, they take that, they either put it into a vape cart or a little cartridge that you can vaporize through, and people will start vaporizing that. So cut with a lot less chemicals. There's no real purging. There's no distillation process or anything along those lines. Some other ones, though, they're extracted via CO2 or butane, and then they're actually cooked out or purged out via a vac oven or a vacuum oven, where basically it'll pull all the impurities out of it, bake it out of the actual cannabis extract itself, and then they take that and refine it back down into a liquid, and that's normally what people use as a vaporizer pen. So you might see the kids walking around with basically the vape pens. Normally they're probably nicotine if they're just walking around the street with them, but obviously when you sort of smell that skunky aroma, it's most likely that it's cannabis at that point. Going back to the skunky aroma and the terpenes, anytime you smell cannabis sort of out in the wild, it's a terpene called caryophyllene. That's normally the main terpene that actually gives that representation of skunky cannabis or peppery cannabis. So it's called caryophyllene. We just normally remember it as car or caryo, to carry it across, carry it into your nose, certain things like that. So the couple main terpenes which normally will work well with your endocannabinoid system are going to be myrcene, which we normally equate that to giving mercy to the body. So that's going to be your end of the night kind of terpene that you're looking for to relax. Again, not to sleep, but to relax at the end of the night. We have one called pinene. Pinene is great in an alpha form. So we have alpha and betas. Obviously, just like in the real world, you have the alpha male and the beta male, or the alpha female and the beta female. I don't want to be that guy. But the alphas will always represent a stronger terpene than the betas will. So pinene is really good for memory retention, which is sort of counterintuitive when you're thinking about cannabis that should slow down the memory. People that actually smoke cannabis with a lot of pinene in it actually end up retaining or sort of having a little bit better memory than other people that are smoking without pinene. So again, we only have that much research on it. So it's not something that we go and tell a lot of people because again, we're not doctors, we're not physicists, we're not nurses, anything along those lines. So another one would be called linalool. So linalool comes from lavender plants. It's actually really great for antimicrobial and antibacterial. So certain people that might have certain infections in their body, or people that carry really high in yeast in their body, they found a lot of good things from smoking things or vaping things that contain a lot of linalool in it. And again, that just comes from the lavender plant. So there's things that are found sort of in nature. Limonene or limonene is another one that is in pine sol. So when we're cleaning the washroom and we're going, man, I just really hate cleaning the toilet, but it actually smells kind of nice in here. That's basically what pinene is. So it's tricking our brain into thinking what you're doing right now, this kind of crappy job, it's not that crappy. It's actually not too bad. So there's certain terpenes that were sort of represented in the general world that we just never put two and two together because the cannabis sector never sort of looked at those things. So terpenes are very, very big in how your endocannabinoid system reacts to cannabis itself. Certain people, they go out, when I smoked this one flower, I got really paranoid. Well, it could have been the caryophyllene that's actually in it. So there's certain things like that that we want people to really pay attention to the terpenes that they're actually ingesting on the flowers themselves. Normally, we ask patrons to keep a weed journal. As funny as it is literally keeping a journal as what you got last time, or creating an account with us, and we can always go back and double check. Well, the last time, you know what, I got real paranoid off of that stuff. Okay, perfect. So let's go back and we'll look at the terpenes and offer you either another flower or a form of cannabis that doesn't contain that terpene, right? And it allows people to sort of get the best effects out of what they're looking for. So the problem with that is that it could become very costly. And again, you might have not so great times when you're sort of experimenting that way, because you, again, could get very paranoid, or the other one just made you fall asleep really quickly. So there's certain things like that that we really implore customers to pay attention to. But normally, again, with the stigma of, I just want to get high, or I just want to smoke a joint, again, that's where it's a touchy subject, where we go, okay, well, I'm not going to deny you from selling you, especially when it's under your 30 grams or equivalent. And that is what we work off of in the legal market. So it's 30 grams or equivalent of per 24 hours. So if a person a customer bought 28 grams of cannabis and came back 3 hours later, tried to purchase another 28 grams of cannabis, I will deny that sale because they're only actually allowed to be carrying around 30 grams at one time. And technically, again, it's a gray area, the way that the government has done it is 30 grams per purchase. So technically that person could walk outside the doors and come right back in and purchase another 30 grams, but we do not allow that here. As to be honest, most other cannabis retail shops, they should not be allowing that either. If they do, that's on them. We don't work that way. Again, we try and stick to the code of conduct and what AGCO outlines us as our regulations. We stick to that to the T. We're here again to represent sort of a new breed of cannabis shops, where again, we want to be more educational and we want to be a little bit more upscale. We don't want to seem like the seedy drug dealers in the back alley that, come into my shop and grab some cannabis. We don't want that. We want people to feel like you're walking into an H&M, a Best Buy, Walmart. You know what I mean? So things like that. So, and that's the sort of feedback that we've received back from the customers is, your store is fantastic. The flow is great. Everything looks awesome. Same with Huntsville as well. We want to really represent it to be a little bit more professional and not so, again, we're 19-year-old kids just selling drugs here, because that's not what we're about. The majority of us are quite a lot older than sort of your median age. So that's what we want to represent here as well. So going back to products. So we went over topicals, we went over edibles, we went over flowers, we went over pre-rolls, and we went over concentrates. We also offer seeds. So obviously in Canada, we can grow a maximum of 4 plants per household. indoor, and as far as I know, outdoor as well, unless you're working off an MMAR or an MMMJ, which is your medical marijuana license. Normally, those will allow for a greater amount of cannabis plants, either grown indoor or outdoor. But again, that's why they're sort of sold in the 4 packs. So we do offer seeds as well. The only thing we don't offer is clones. So a lot of people will come in and ask for clones. And what a clone is basically just taking one of the stems with the leaf from the plant, chopping it off there, allowing it to grow a root base, and then growing it up to however big it is, and then selling that off. Normally, as of right now, the government has basically stated no live plants within the sector. So we do provide seed, but we do not provide the plant form. So again, a lot of people will ask, can I get a little bit of rundown on this? Or I've been growing for 25 years, sort of in the gray market, and I sort of know what I'm doing. So me personally, I've been growing for over a decade. I wouldn't say that I'm a green thumb, but I can grow some pretty good cannabis. Again, I'm a caregiver though, so I actually grow for 2 other people that I've registered under the government with, where I grow cannabis for them and then I actually give it to them free of charge. All they need to do is pay for the seeds every year. So it's actually really, really great to see those people benefit from that. And again, you're saving a heck of a lot of money doing it that way. Problem is if you don't grow great plants or they end up dying on you, now you sort of, I wouldn't say wasted, but you've spent money on something that you sort of can't recoup. So we do go over certain things when people do buy the seeds from us, as to allow them to get more of a greater success rate, rather than just going, well, all 4 of them died on me and I don't know what I did wrong. So we do offer sort of the full spectrum as well. So seeds, almost the last one I would say, concentrates. Yeah, basically the last one would be beverages. And beverages has been a crazy market now, where these companies have come out of the woodwork and they're making non-alcoholic beer, let's say, that will get you pretty stoned. What I do tell people though is, please do not chase that drunk. If you're trying to get drunk off the beer, it will never come. You're just going to get extremely stoned and it might not end up being a really great night for you. So again, with edibles, we always caution, go low, go slow, and work your way up from there, especially if you're not really familiar with edibles. That could be, again, a drink, a gummy, a chocolate bar. We have truffles. We have a lot of great tasting chocolate where people just want to eat more of the chocolate, but they need to remember that the more you eat, the more your endocannabinoid system is going to react, i.e., you're probably going to get pretty stoned, and you might not be able to get up off the couch after these couple chocolates. So that's why, again, we tell people, go low, go slow, work your way up from there. So with edibles, when they go into our system, they process through our mouth, esophagus, down to our stomach. Then they get processed into our liver. From there, it becomes delta 9 THC, which is basically another form of THC, and how it's sort of broken down in our system. That's why a lot of people, it takes you a couple hours or maybe an hour, 45 minutes in order to start feeling the effects of the edibles, because it takes a lot longer time to process through our system, get into our bloodstream, and then go up to our brain. When we smoke a joint or a marijuana cigarette, for example, we inhale it through our lungs, and right from the lungs, it goes right to our bloodstream. That's why you basically feel the effects almost instantaneously. So again, a lot of people go, well, this chocolate bar didn't do anything for me, and then they take another one. Well, it's not doing anything for me again, and then they take another one. And then 4 hours later, they're on the floor. So again, that's why we need to make sure that people go low, go slow, and then work your way up from there. With our edibles though, the maximum amount that you can buy per package is 10 milligrams. 10 milligrams, though, is the equivalent of about 50 to 100 on the gray market or the black market, because it's made with distillate. So what that is the concentrated form of cannabis that they extract from the cannabis plant. They bump up the THC level by either adding in more cannabinoids or adding in the THC cannabinoid itself. And then they go around to each tray and they microdose each tray in the dropper. So how one gummy is going to react is the exact same way as the next gummy will. If you were to go to the reserve, the one that we have sort of out here, those are non-regulated. So like I talk to a lot of customers, I say, okay, so you eat one piece of the chocolate, you got pretty stoned, but you ate 3 other pieces and it really did nothing. It's because it's being made in literally Becky's kitchen. And Becky is going like this with her pan as she's walking over to the fridge, and the cannabinoids are swishing and squashing all over this pan. It is not dosed correctly at all. So with the government regulated stuff, how one gummy or one piece of chocolate will react is the exact same as the next piece of chocolate will react that you're buying. So a lot of people have a lot more confidence in that product because you're not really going to, it's a bad word to use, but you're not going to overdose on cannabis. And overdosing on cannabis is literally you falling asleep. Okay, there's no repercussions. Your heart will not stop. You will not die from overdosing, quote unquote, on cannabis. It cannot happen. There has been 0 cases in the world where somebody has died off cannabis, unless they were under the influence of cannabis and something physical normally happened to them, i.e., car accident or suicide or anything along those lines. So again, we don't like to go down that road. It's a deep, dark hole, and we're more of a happy place. So we like to keep it more on the fresh side. So again, the edibles, maximum 10 milligrams that you're ever going to get per package. Same with our drinks. A lot of our drinks are normally about 5 to 10 milligrams, and a lot of them are at a 2.5. The drinks are sold sort of in a weird way where they're done by metric volume rather than the contents itself. So for example, if somebody was to come in and they buy 3.5 grams of cannabis, that will equate to 3.5 grams out of their 30 gram per day. If somebody was to come in and buy a 355 milliliter can that had 2.5 milligrams of cannabis, so a heck of a lot less, let's say the half quarter is going to have 30 milligrams of cannabis, but this little drink has 2.5 milligrams of cannabis, you can only buy 4 of those drinks, equating to basically 10 milligrams of cannabis. Well, that one half quarter that you just bought has triple the amount of cannabis or cannabinoids in it, but you're allowed to buy up to 30 grams of that. So the government is going to be, from what we've been told, is going to be changing that sort of algorithm, how they've sort of equated that that numeric value there, where they're going to be bumping it up to basically 25 milligrams per package, and the milligrams per milliliter is going to come down. So basically 2.5 milligrams in that one 355 milliliter can should equate to 2.5 milligrams of dried flower or something in along those lines. As of right now, 2.5 milligrams of THC in a 355 milliliter drink is equivalent to 5 grams of flower. So the equations are kind of all over the place. Same with distillate. So the little vape cartridges, a half gram of distillate is the equivalent to 2 grams of physical flower. 1 gram of distillate is the equivalent to 4 grams of physical flower. So when people come in, they want to buy, I want to buy a half ounce of cannabis, which is 14 grams. And I also want to buy 5 different vape carts. Well, the system is going to max us out at maybe half ounce, which is 14 grams, and then maybe 2 carts. That's basically about it. Maybe 3, certain things like that. So again, we never oversell. We physically can't oversell. And there's really, 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 really big fines for people that do oversell. And again, we're very professional here and we don't really do anything along those lines. So again, drinks are more or less the easiest segue into the cannabis market for people. You can drink a drink that basically just tastes like an orange soda, and you might start feeling certain things after a while. Or you can drink a drink that tastes like a pineapple mango juice and start feeling things after a while. So it's an easier segue into the cannabis market for a lot of people. Same with edibles. A lot of people understand, okay, I can just eat a blue raspberry gummy, tastes really good, and maybe I'm going to get a little stoned later on. So a lot of people will start off with the edible market. Then they'll sort of segue themselves into either flower, i.e. the dried cannabis, pre-rolls, or the concentrates themselves. So it's kind of a hit and miss for what people want, but there are many, 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 many options that you can choose from. That's the nice thing about cannabis, and you're never sort of stuck to that one. So it's quite cool. So basically, that's a pretty general, I would say, quite vague overview of cannabis, cannabinoids, and what we offer here. Again, I wish I sort of had more time. Maybe we can set up maybe like a monthly call that I can be doing these things with you guys, and we can sort of touch on one new subject every single month kind of thing. We could definitely do something along those lines. Are there any questions, any concerns, anything anybody would like to talk about?
Chris, I have one question in through the chat.
Yeah.
What is the minimum age that somebody can purchase cannabis?
19. So just like anywhere legally in Canada, just like if you were buying tobacco products or alcohol products, the age is 19. And they can't even get in our doors without showing ID right when they get in through the door. So we
Oh,
will
okay.
stop people, yeah, right at the door. If they've made it up to the cash, we haven't done our job correctly, realistically. That person should not be seeing any cannabis related products unless you're over the age of 19 or 19 itself. I had a gentleman actually walk in with his 5-year-old daughter, and I said, "Sorry, sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave." And he like, just like I killed his cat. You know what I mean? Like, he looked at me like wide-eyed going, "What do you mean? This isn't like the LCBO?" No, it's not like the LCBO at all. So we physically can't even have anybody under the age of 19 through our doors. And that should be everywhere. It's not just us, it should be everywhere. And again, if other retail shops aren't doing that, well, they need to pick it up a little bit then, because they're going to eventually face a fine and could ruin a business just for something that small.
Right.
So,
Okay.
Chris, before we open up other questions, is it possible for you to give us sort of a virtual tour of the store? Are you allowed to do that?
yeah, I can definitely do that for sure. There's nothing, I
Maybe
mean, you're all
cool
over the
to
age
see
of
it.
19.
Yeah.
Can I see some IDs on the screen, please? I'm just joking.
Just
Not
a
a
short
problem
one.
at
I
all.
think it
Yeah,
would be
for
nice,
sure.
nice to see the inside.
Definitely. So this is our back room, which is
Yeah.
basically what we call our bud room. All right, so we have all of our pre-rolls here. They're all labeled with different boxes, all of our concentrates and things like that, just to help the staff out in the back. All right, we have our little fridge over here, which is just running our overstock. We have all of our edibles, so all of our gummies, our chocolates. We have all of our more chocolates, to be honest. All of our CBD related products, so i.e. our tinctures. So basically what one of these are is they're going to be a bottle like this. It'll have an eyedropper in it. And then we'll sort of go over with the customer what we would sort of recommend. Again, the customer can always up or down that dose. We also have the topicals. So we got roll-ons, we have some creams, we have intimacy oils for anybody that wants to get busy. We also have bath bombs. The bath bombs are really, really nice. A lot of people are getting some pretty good relief out of it. Pre-rolls again. So basically what these guys are, they will be 7 half-gram joints. Can you see? There we go. 7 half-gram joints that are already pre-rolled in that one. You might get other ones that are 2 1-gram joints. So there's a bunch of different options. Again, as you can see, they're all government sealed and regulated. If this seal is broken, we cannot sell it. It'll have to go back to the OCS, and we basically either get a replacement for that, or realistically, they just reimburse us in essence. Dried flower. So again, you can either have it in sort of a jar form like this. That's going to be 3.5 grams of cannabis. And let's just make sure I'm putting the right back. And you can have something like this where it's in a bag. Again, these bags, they are quite difficult to get into, I'll be honest. If a kid gets into this, then a kid is either taking a pair of scissors to it or a knife. The zipper is a triple zipper. So basically it's like a, what's it called? A Ziploc bag on steroids, where it's just very, very, very hard to get into. Again, that's sort of the name of the game. We don't want kids getting into any of that product, right? So they really do it well. There's other ones that are more like this. So this is LBS. This is called Leafs by Snoop Dogg. That's his brand there. So he puts I guess I wouldn't say a little bit more money into the packaging, but you can see it's a tin, so sort of metal. Other ones, they'll just be more plasticky. And then again, other ones, they'll just have more of like a bag, kind of like that. So a few different options. More flour over here as well. Then we go into the concentrates. So we have keef. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that. Basically, that's just when you grind up your cannabis at the very end. It's more or less the stuff that looks pretty yellow at the end of the tray. We also have some hash, diamonds, resins, caviars, and then distillates. So basically what that guy is right here is this is either a oral distillate pen. Put you down there for a second. An oral distillate pen, you can either put this into your mouth directly, or what people do is they put it into either a pipe or a bong and they smoke it that way, or realistically a rig, but bong is an easier way of explaining it. And then let's go out onto the floor. And we can see the floor as well. Also the bud room, whenever we're in here, there's always one person manning the bud room and the door is always shut. Now, with most cannabis stores, you're also going to see a frosted piece of glass or anything along those lines, to where if you're standing at the front door, you can't physically see inside of the shop. We're not allowed to sort of promote the way. So they're going to see basically a big barrier like this. And it's going to allow them to physically, they have to physically get past the barrier in order to see any of the products. So the IDs would be checked. You say hi, guys. The IDs would be checked basically at this point. All right. And then they wouldn't make it past that side at that point. So our good buds, good vibes sign. We also have a lot of our sort of sellable items. So your raw trays, your cleaning products, pipes, bongs. We're a little bit different than most shops where we actually put live product out onto the floor, and we try and showcase it a little bit differently rather than just having basically all of those jars like I showed you in the back room. And we have a bunch of bongs and pipes. All right, probably have seen a couple of those. And then we also have our bud wall. So this was something that we were extremely proud of. No other shops are really doing anything along this lines. So basically what we've done is we've highlighted indica, again, Indicouch, hybrid, and sativa. And then on those, or on the wall and in those sections, we actually have physical traits of the actual flowers themselves and the distillate carts. So the cartridges that I was speaking of before are going to be these guys here, where they're basically just a vaporizer, and you can go ahead and vaporize it rather than doing flower. So this is our bud wall. So when the customers physically come in, they can just walk right by it, and it's almost like a a checkerboard or a checking board for those people to see what we have on stock, what they want, those types of things. Our bar, it's quite poor at this point because we just got a restock. So all of our drinks are usually right here. This bar is actually quite full normally, but because OCS shut down for those 2 weeks, we had to take a lot of stuff off. A lot of our papers, so rolling papers, anything along those lines. And then we get into the sort of our edible area. Now it's full of papers and rolling products right now because again, we are curbside, so nobody's actually inside the store. But all the patrons, when they come in, they'll see sort of, again, cards like that, and it'll give them sort of a general idea as to, okay, how much THC is in it, i.e. we have 5 milligrams per piece. So you get 10 milligrams for the package. You might see a package like this where it will show you 4 chews. That means there's going to be 4 pieces in there. And then again, we highlight it there with the price as well. So it will really, really dictate how much. We also go by colors as well. So your indicas are going to be your purples, which again is going to be Indicouch or your late night relaxation. Yellows and oranges are going to be more your stimulating or your daytime use. So that's going to be your sativas. And then we have the greens, which is going to be your strawberries, or sorry, your strawberries, your hybrids. So again, it could lean either way. Normally, most hybrids, though, especially if you're consuming them, are always going to lean indica. So they'll start quite euphoric. You might get quite head high or buzzy in the eyes. But then towards the end, i.e. when you're burning out, quote unquote, that's when you become a little bit more lethargic. And then it sort of rounds itself out into the indica. We have a nice fridge right here. So as soon as people come up, they can see sort of all the different drinks that we offer. Again, as I was talking about before, we have sort of like the mango fruit juice. This one's tropical fruit, I believe it is. We have CBD related products, which have very, very low THC in it. Some people really, really enjoy that. Deep Space, this is the one where somebody can buy 5 cans of this with 10 milligrams in it, but you can only buy, it would be these guys. These guys only have 2.5 milligrams in it, but you can only buy 3 of them. Again, it's by metric volume. So because this one's 355 and this one is 222, you can buy more of these, even though this has more THC in it. Go figure, I don't know. They haven't really given us a good example or a good idea as to why they did that, but I digress. Sparkling waters are really, really big in the sort of the cannabis industry. They don't really go with much flavor in the cannabis industry, unless you're going for the houndstooth and soda or like a Baker Street and ginger. This, a lot of our customers have said, reminds them of a Ryan ginger without the alcohol. So a lot of people really enjoy that. And there's another one right here called Molo, which is basically made by Molson. And this has 5 milligrams of THC in each beer, quote unquote, but it's non-alcoholic. So still gets you bloated like beer, but doesn't get you drunk like beer. So lots of different products that we offer and that we can provide to different people. Again, sort of segueing them into the market of how do you want to consume your cannabis? That's the main question that we normally ask people is, are you new? If you're not new, okay, how do you normally consume your cannabis? So if they're, I'm a smoker, perfect. We can set you in this direction, or it doesn't really matter. I like either or. So kind of different. And again, we sort of offer the full spectrum across the board, offer price points as well. So you might get a gram of cannabis for $7.99 all the way up to grams of cannabis for $20.99 kind of thing. So we try and stay a little bit more in the mid-range because from sales wise and customers just asking in general, that's normally the trend we're seeing. So we try and again, sort of allow everybody to have a hand in the pot, but it really is dependent on what they like, what they want to do, and all that type of stuff. So
Thank you. That was
yeah,
awesome.
awesome.
Yeah, I guess now would be a good time for us to open the room.
Yeah, please
for
do. If anybody has
questions.
any questions, concerns, even
Yeah,
if you
don't
think
forget
it's a
to
stupid
unmute.
question, there are no dumb questions. Okay. This is all about learning and education.
Thank you.
So again, like, even if you were to say, what is cannabis again? Let's explain it again. You know what I mean? Not a problem at all.
Well, you are so incredibly informative.
Perfect. I try my
really
best.
impressive, and your store looks really nice. So
thank you. The guys have tried really, really hard to get both locations looking the way that they do. So again, we want to present ourselves as more of, not hoity-toity, but you know, more of an upscale location where we don't want to bring the riffraff around kind of thing. So
yeah.
One question here in the chat is, are there any, or do you offer any educational programs for teenagers? So even for some parents that are concerned or wondering what their kids are wanting to get into do you offer anything that way for education?
So nothing really along those lines, because nobody has actually approached us in regards to that. Again, because I can't say with my PhD or with my medical, you know what I mean? I am a clinical educator by trade. I worked for Shoppers Drug Mart and a company called MediSystem for about 10 years. I was a clinical educator. I would go into long-term care facilities and retirement homes and actually train nurses on how to administer medications via tablet format, how to do sort of, all the administration side. But we would be very up to doing that for sure. It's just, again, with my credentials, who am I? You know what I mean? Like I'm kind of a nobody at that point. But yeah, we'd be more than happy to provide education to anybody that's sort of looking for it.
Okay. Great.
Definitely.
Great. Any other questions from anybody here? You can unmute yourself and
and we've recorded this as well. So if people want to sort of listen to Chris's recap, we will be posting it on our website, sending it out by Facebook.
Perfect.
Go ahead, Leslie. You've got a question?
Yeah, I have a question. There's a lot of new cannabis stores in Huntsville, I've noticed. What differentiates your firm or your company from the others?
From everybody else?
Product or why?
I would definitely say different product. Our price point is a little bit more on the fair side. The guys here are really not about gouging pockets. So if you were to actually look at per gram, I would say us compared to the next guy, we're usually going to be cheaper. Again, we provide a lot more education. I don't want to say than other places, because to be honest, I don't go into those other places. What they're doing doesn't concern me at that point. And it's not like a turf war, like, yeah, let's beat those guys. You know, like we're not really into that. We all want to work as a team. Like, and there's more than enough patrons for everybody to go around. But I would say definitely education is our number one focus. So that's why I would say to choose us over anybody else, because normally from the feedback that we get from customers when they come in and we have just a 5-10 minute conversation with them, they go, you've answered almost all of my questions and I didn't even need to ask them. Or I went into the other shop and I said, give me your best stuff. And they gave me something that really just was not even good at all. So again, we really listen. We're not about pushing people out and just taking the money from people. And again, I'm not going to say every spot does that, but the majority of ones that I've gone into, especially knowing what I know and sort of receiving the service that I have, they need better education, to be honest. That's just what it is. And whether that's from not even a guy like me, I've trained my staff from people that know literally nothing to almost the same knowledge base as me here. And again, you guys don't know me from Bob, Dick, or Harry, right? So it is what it is. But I would say definitely education, friendliness, and price point are going to be our main strong suits. You're always going to have a fun time. You're always going to have a good time, and you're always going to leave smiling when you leave Kasa Kana.
Great. Any other questions from anybody?
Don't be afraid. Don't be shy. Yeah. Don't be shy. Again, there are no stupid questions, none whatsoever. And again, I mean, if that's all the questions people has, not a big deal at all. You can always set up another seminar for you guys. And again, we can do this on like a monthly or a bi-monthly basis kind of thing, if you guys feel comfortable with that.
And Chris, maybe you could put your email address in the chat room.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
In case people, sometimes people are stage fright or shy to ask a question.
Sure.
So if they could flip you an email, that'd be great. And welcome to the Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to Huntsville.
Thank you kindly.
I'm super excited to see you.
You guys have been really, really receptive to us, especially in the Huntsville area. And to be honest, we really much appreciate that. We are the small guys. We're not the big conglomerate. We're basically, a Napoleon trying to take over the world right now. And again, there's more than enough business for everybody. So we're not coming in bullying people and trying to be the new kid on the block. But again, I'm going to say Kasa Kana is better than everybody because Kasa Kana is better than everybody. And that's just how I feel about the company. It's not because they're my family. It's because I truly believe in what we do here. And especially getting feedback from other customers that go, I don't even know what that person was talking about when I went to go talk to them. Or I had another gentleman come in and said, my mother went there. She said, I just need something for sleep. And the guy said, you need to leave. We don't speak that way. Well, I mean, come on, man, you can't really do things like that. So then don't say sleep, just say relaxing. You can always sidestep the conversation with other words, but here we very much know how to handle those situations and know how to make people feel very, very, very comfortable. Is it your internet? I can't hear you. We can see your mouth moving.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. Now we can hear you.
Anyway, I just wanted to thank you again. I want to thank
Anytime.
everyone for attending.
Yeah, I want to thank you all as
well. And we
well.
wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much. And again, if you guys ever need to reach out, please reach out via email. I'm always available. It might just take 24 hours to get back to you. That's all.
That's okay. Good. Congratulations and welcome.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Tonight.
All right, guys, have a wonderful day. Enjoy.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.